Good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome back to the BSB. We're excited to be here for Conference Championship Weekend. I'm Sean Kaus,
I'm Tony James.
and we are your betting strategy brothers. Before we get going here, just a quick reminder for you guys. We are teachers by trade, so we're here to teach. We're here to help. So we do not guarantee anything we do. We're just here trying to give you a little pointers. Even if you take it as good or bad and use it whichever way favors you, great. But we're just trying to help either way we can and hopefully pick up something good.
For sure, Cows. I mean, that's the whole idea. We've had about 18 weeks, 21 weeks now, 21 weeks. I lost count. They threw that extra weekend and I got totally wonky. But yeah, the whole idea is just so you can learn something, once again, take our advice, fade our advice, as long as you're winning even if you're not, sometimes you don't win, but you still have some fun. As long as you're having some fun, that's the most important thing. And learn something, right? And maybe you don't apply it this season because, there's only 3 games left in this season. Maybe you apply it next season. Maybe you get some strategies going for the off season for futures or other sports. But as long as you're learning something and having some fun, that's all that matters. And maybe they're drinking some of our beers.
Yeah, I hope they are. What are you drinking this week? Speaking of our flavor of the week.
Well, I don't have it open right now because I have a couple things to do before the games kick off. But I've got a Palm Sway IPA from Coronado Brewing Company. It's a little tropical. It's got this fruity, like kind of a pineapple taste in it. So what I do is I drop a little bit of lime in it, so it kind of cancels out some of the sweetness of it and it balances out a little bit better. And man, that's really good. So I think I'm going to do up some tacos this afternoon, and that's going to be really nice. Yeah.
How long does it take me to get to your house? About 6 hours? Okay.
Yeah, man. If you leave now, you'll be here by,
I'll be
what
here
do you got?
by the afternoon game.
Yeah, for sure.
So this week I also went with a local brewer company. I've done it before where I have gone with the Grand Canyon Brewing Company. And now that our season is almost over, what am I going to do on my weekends? I am still going to bet other sports, but what am I going to do on my weekends? I'm going to go trail hiking. I love to go up north and go hitting some trails and taking the kids and having a good time. So I figured a trail hike IPA sounded great. And it's very light. It does make you, I'll be honest, I just grabbed it, tried it, and I took a drink and I'm like, man, this really does feel like I'm up north getting ready to go on a trail. So not that I drink before I go on trails, but definitely afterwards. So that's what I'm going with this week, and it's good, and I can't wait to pound my 6-pack. And yes, it is Sunday morning, and yes, I don't care because there's football and I'm playing poker tonight, so might as well make a full day of it. What the hell?
So I have a funny anecdote really quick, and we can get into this. So I once hiked the highest mountain in Colorado, and on the way up, it gets to a point where you can literally, because the air is so thin, you can only take like 5 or 10 steps at a time, and then it's like, oh, I'm done. So I'm up at that point, and there's people just stopped, and there's people in front of me cracking beers while they're on their way up, and I was like, I wonder why they're doing that. And they go, well, it gives us a little bit more energy, and we can deal with the altitude a little bit better. And I'm like looking at them, I'm like, you know what, whatever works for you. So I say take some of those trail hike IPAs on your trail hike, and I think you'll have a more enjoyable time.
You possibly could be right, and I think I probably would. However, usually when I do this, I take the family, and I don't know that the missus would be okay with that.
Oh,
so
good point. Good point.
You gotta play those odds right there. So
Gotcha.
But all right, let's see how we did last week. Last week was heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking for me.
Black armbands.
I'm not even going to get into it right now, but
good idea.
My straight bet was for Buffalo to win on the money line, and once again, I fully thought they were going to win. There wasn't a doubt in my mind they were going to win, and I'm sure most people, when 13 seconds was left, they're like Buffalo won, and that was a winner, and but it didn't happen that way. So that ended up actually hurting me a lot. But it wasn't just my fan of Buffalo. It was the fact that Buffalo was what Buffalo was all year, and so was KC, and you were getting plus money on Buffalo to win.
Yeah.
And that was a big reason why I took them, not just because of my fandom, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with it, and I was almost right, but it was a lot of plus money for them on the money line to win, so that's why I went with them. It ended up screwing me on a lot of bets, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. But I did lose my money line bet on Buffalo, my straight bet for $40. I went 2 of 4 on my round robin. So I only got 15 of my 50 back. And once again, Buffalo was one of those that screwed me there. And an 18 teaser for $30. Buffalo didn't screw me there because I had them at plus 7.5. What did screw me is the only one I was 7 for 8. I lost on the Cincy Tennessee game, couldn't go over. And we talked about it before the show. That game should have gone into overtime, and I would have hit that over, but it didn't. So my $10 prop bet, Singletary didn't get closed. Tannehill didn't get a touchdown, so I lost that. Once again, I had my $20 pleaser. It was a 3-team teaser, so it was 20 to win 240, I believe, if I remember correctly. And Buffalo lost, but I did hit my over-unders on the pleaser, which was pretty impressive when you think about over-unders and you're taking, I took that San Francisco Green Bay and made it 6 points less and still went under. I took the Buffalo KC 6 points more and it still went over. I think, I called that that was way under to begin with. I think I called 37-31 on the show last week.
I think you did.
The score. So I was close. But I bet 120, only got back to 20 from my round robin. So I'm down 100. But man, coin toss goes the other way, and I'm looking.
And you're sitting pretty. Maybe the coin toss wouldn't have affected your teaser because of Tennessee, but that's and man, like, is this the point where they do something with the rules? I don't know, because it seems like that was like overreaction. Monday's topic was like, we got to fix the overtime rules. And it does seem patently unfair for one of the best teams in the league to not get a chance to equalize. But I mean, isn't there a point where you just go like, look, somebody has to win and somebody has to make a stop. I don't know. I'm still kind of hung up on it, and I'm an advocate for the college rules, but I understand that would probably be too easy. So I don't know if there's a combination. I don't know.
To me, they should have an intermission, just like they do at halftime, and come out and play another quarter, and then another quarter if they still need to or whatever. Like, I mean, I remember watching. I understand hockey and football are two different sports, but I remember watching the 5 overtime Sabres game in the playoffs in, what was that, 97 I think it was
somewhere I think so.
And I'm sitting there, a high schooler, and I was up till 1:30, 2 o'clock that morning watching that game, and I'm going, they've literally played 2 games like in one. So what makes hockey any different than football as far as being able to do that, especially when hockey's doing that on an every other day basis and football's doing it on once a week? Why can't they? The one point that I didn't think of, that it goes for everybody. Now, once again, I think it should be changed in the playoffs. I don't care about the regular season matters, don't get me wrong, but you want to keep it the same regular season, fine. In the playoffs, I think it should be more fair. But what really gets me, and why I said the intermission, is one of my friends told me, Zach Threadgill, actually, former quarterback of Nevada, your Nevada Wolfpack, he was talking about how you don't get a break. So usually when you're in a game and Kansas City drives down, last 13 seconds, they get in a field goal and they score a field goal. Your defense has a break to compress and go, and hopefully the offense gives them a chance to get pumped back. But you just got your ass kicked by going down the field in 13 seconds to get field goal range. You lose a coin flip. You're back out there with nothing positive to show. Hey, you just got your ass kicked. Go back out there with no rest and do it again. Instead of, hey, you got your ass kicked, but your offense can do something, at least give you some rest or do this. You didn't have a break. And that's really where I see the biggest advantage is that part of it, where by the coin flip, that can happen. Now if Buffalo wins a coin flip, everybody says, "Oh, Buffalo would win the coin flip." We knew whoever won the coin flip, they won. I'm not arguing that fact, but it might have been different because Kansas City's defense just saw their offense do well, and now it's their turn. Whereas Buffalo's defense got their ass kicked, then they got to go right back out and try to do it again with nothing. It's like that's really hard on teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, momentum I think momentum matters in football more than any other sport. And like you say, look at it when your team goes down the field and scores, then forces a 3-and-out, right? So that opposing defense has been on the bench for in real lifetime, like 2 minutes. In game time, maybe 45 seconds. I mean, and then here you go here. I know you're tired. Go stop them again. Of course it's going to be tough. So I like the intermission idea. I never thought about that. I think that's a really good idea. I like the idea of playing an entire quarter. I think that's super fair because, it gives the offense and the defense a chance, because like in a real game, you don't just go, okay, here you go. Oh, offense score. The game's over. Like, that's why you have a defense too, right? Now, the other side of the argument obviously is, well, Buffalo could have stopped him, but it goes back to what you said earlier, right? They're gassed. They've just played 3.5 hours of football, and give them a 3-minute break and get back out there. It's probably not going to work. So that's a really good idea. I never thought about that before.
Well, in some staggering stats I saw was in the postseason, 9 of the 10 games that went into overtime, 9 of those 10 games, whoever won the coin flip won the game. And the one that didn't should have been, because they missed the most blatant pass interference call ever in the history of football. But so it should have been 10 out of 10. But then once again, same guy Zach I was talking to said, "Hey, I don't want to hear that stat, because just because you won doesn't mean you won on that first drive."
That's true.
And then I go, okay, let's look it up. 7 of 10 of those
first drive.
7 of 10 of them. So that's a staggering stat, and that's where I'm like, just play a quarter if you need to, play a full quarter. And you know what? If Kansas City wins a coin flip and they possess the ball for 14 minutes and 57 seconds and kick a field goal and win the game, they deserve to win.
Yeah,
100%. If we can't get the ball back in almost 15 minutes, we don't deserve to win. Like, I'm fine with that.
I think that's totally fair. And I mean, honestly, I would like to see college move to something like that too. I think the rules now are getting a little ridiculous, but
well, here's another question. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was saying, here's another question. A lot of people have said, "Well, get rid of the kickoff in the overtime." I said, you know what? How much do you think that onside change? How many coaches do you think use stats and come out on the first kickoff in overtime and kick an onside kick? You can't get rid of that kickoff. That's going to change the whole game right there. A lot of coaches, I guarantee you, a lot of coaches are going to come out after overtime, lose the coin flip, and go
an onside kick. I'm gonna get the ball back.
Onside kick to try to get the ball back, and even if we don't, fine, you get good position, go score, because we're gonna come right back.
I think that's a great point.
So I don't think you can get rid of the kickoff. That's one thing I don't like about the college rules. But I don't know. Sorry, we went off on a tangent.
No, I mean, it's important, man. It's important. It obviously impacted it. It had a great impact on the results, and it has in turn had a great impact on this week. So, it has to be addressed sometime. Yeah. All right. Should we see how I did this week?
Yeah, let's see how you did. You did way better than me again. You're just killing me.
I hit the Tampa Bay over because I had to sweat it out. I got lucky on that because a couple of turnovers, but I hit it, so I'm never going to apologize for that. I hit 2 of 4 on my round robin, so that was 12 back. I got 42 back on the over. I lost my Saturday teaser because both games went under, so I lost 30 there. But I hit my Sunday teaser. I lost my $10 prop bet because Tannehill just went statue, and then I lost my other. I did have CJ Uzoma though. That was money. I lost my other 10. Money on that. I lost my Dawson Knox prop bet though because Gabe Davis caught everything. Lost my my pleaser because of Buffalo, so I bet 187. I got back 107, down 80. But you know what? It was a fun weekend.
Yeah, it was, and I was texting too. I had a bet. Anyway, so I started with 1285 last week, down that 100. So now I'm down to 1185 plus this week's 100 that we once again allotted for every week. You started with 1414. Now you're down to 1313 with the weekly 100. So now that we have 3 games left, we've got 1285 for me and 1430 for you to spend on these. So still
Let's go. Let's go. I love it. I'm ready.
All right, so let's get into our normal picks. I am going to go straight bet. We always start with a straight bet. So my straight bet this week, I am taking the Rams, San Francisco under 45.5. I'm putting 34 to win 30 on that. We're going to talk about who wins or loses. I could easily see this going either way, but I can tell you what, they both have dominant defenses, and the fact that San Francisco can't score is going to lead this to under no matter who wins. No matter who wins, it's not going to be a high-scoring game. So I'm going to go ahead and take under 45.5. When you look at what happened last week, yeah, they won. They scored 13 points. And
that was incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah. But it's more of a tip of a cap to their defense. You have all these stats about Rodgers is 7-7 at home in the playoffs or something like that. But their defense was just phenomenal. I mean, it was just amazing what they did to the number one team, and it was too impressive. Now, yes, both number one teams lost. Yeah, that's besides the point.
Yeah. It is for sure. But I was going to say,
when you look at, go ahead.
I'm sorry, guys. What I was going to say is, yeah, both number one teams lost, but they lost in different fashions for sure.
Yeah,
and they went up. What San Francisco did, just to piggyback on what San Francisco did, was super. I thought was way more impressive than the Rams. San Francisco went up in a cold environment with an offense that did next to nothing and won a football game. That was pretty impressive.
Correct. In we could argue Jimmy G all day long. And I honestly don't know that we would argue there.
No,
but
I don't think so.
But when you look at it, they don't score a lot of points. They rely on Deebo Samuel to run the ball, which is funny because he's not even their leading runner, but he has almost 2,000 yards from scrimmage this year with like 500 rushing and 1,400 passing or something close to that. And then you got
Elijah Mitchell.
Thank you. Like, I totally blanked on that. Elijah Mitchell, you got him running the ball, and that's who's carrying their offense. I mean, and it's not Jimmy G. Now, Jimmy G's record is like 41-15 or something, or 43 and 50. His record is amazing for being Jimmy G. Like, he's him and Kirk Cousins are looked at as these terrible quarterbacks. And yes, Kirk doesn't have a great record, but I saw a stat the other day, his QB rating, he's like third all time on QB rating or something like that.
Wow.
It's like, yeah, it was people that have over so many attempts or something, but it's just these quarterbacks. It's almost hard to say what's elite anymore because his record is astounding. Jimmy G's record is astounding, but nobody looks at him as a great quarterback. And I'm not sitting here saying I think he is a great quarterback. What I'm using this as is my argument of they could or couldn't win, but they're not going to win because of him, and they're not going to score a lot of points.
I completely agree with you. I think I called I was in a Twitter conversation last week, and I called Jimmy Garoppolo's play ineffective and underwhelming. And I think that's exactly what it was. I don't think he, and so then we get into, is a quarterback's record really a valid indicator of how a quarterback plays? And I think it's not. I think it's a valid indicator of how your team plays, because Garoppolo went 41-15, but his teams went 41-15 too. So yes, we're on the same boat with Jimmy G for sure. I just think that defense is awesome and is on such a roll right now that it's hard to bet against them. And you combine that with the Rams defense, which looked great for 3 periods last week, and then a couple of gaffes and the Bucks tie it up, which I think is a testament to how good Brady is more than anything else. But for 3 periods last week, they held the Buccaneers to 9 points. And that San Francisco offense is not, even with all the broken Buccaneers, is not even close to the Tampa offense.
No.
I think this pick is nails, man. I think it's nails. Yeah. I love it.
As far as I'm thinking about, I'm mulling over what you just said about, is a record show how the quarterback is, and I guess I kind of have to disagree with you a little bit, because once again, my reason is not because I think Jimmy G is a great quarterback. My reason is you take Trey Lance. Just use Trey Lance. Do you think they could have won either one of those playoff games if Trey Lance was in
there? I don't know, because
I don't think so.
I think the offense is different.
I do. I agree with you, but I think quarterback, even though his play is not astounding, everything starts with you. Everything runs through you. Everything is you. So I don't. If you let's just say Jared Goff. Put Jared Goff in that. Do you really think they would have been able to win those games? I don't think so. So I'm not sitting here trying to call Jimmy G great. He's good enough for what they need.
I would agree with you there.
I think that record is indicative of him as a field general, almost more of than how he can actually pass the ball and stuff like that. Because I do think if you put other quarterbacks in those same situations, they can't do what he did. So regardless of the team, I think he at least kept the offense on the field to give the defense a break to be able to come back and do that. Like I'm not at all talking about their defense. Their defense definitely won games. Their defense is definitely outstanding. But
100.
I think other quarterbacks wouldn't have got it done, and that's not me sticking up for him. It's just me kind of looking at the facts of you kind of got to give him something.
I'll give him a little bit of credit. My counter example for that whole thing is Derek Carr, because Derek Carr is looked at as a quarterback who can't win playoff games or can't get his team to the playoffs. Derek Carr has more fourth period and overtime comebacks in the last 8 years than any other quarterback in the league, including Brady, Rodgers, Dak, and all these Drew Brees, all these other guys. The problem with Carr is his defense has been crap. So now is his record, and he has to own the record. So is his record his fault, or is it the defense's fault? So that's my counter example.
I totally agree with you. But when you look at Derek Carr, at least he has these outstanding stats of passing yards and percent and all. He has stats to back up that he's a good quarterback. When you look at Jimmy G's stats, you go, they're okay. And then you look at that record, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. So I agree with you in that aspect, but I don't. He's underrated. In my eyes, he's underrated, but not like I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, he's underrated. He should be this high grade quarterback." Yeah. No, but I don't think he's like the worst quarterback in the league, like a lot of people think he is. He's a good field general to get stuff done, and he's not as terrible. And a lot of that too is a nod to Shanahan. I'm sure Shanahan's got stuff going in his way too. But sure. when you look. When you look, and I think Shanahan understands what he is and he tailors it to it. But when you look the under in the 49ers games in the last 4 playoff games as an underdog is 4-0. The under in the last 6 road games for the Niners is 6-0. So there's definitely a pattern there, even with 100%. Shanahan. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like
that's
I
why I
said,
went with my straight pick.
I think your pick is nails. I wouldn't be surprised. I think this is a 21-17 game, to be honest with you. Um,
I wouldn't be
and
surprised.
yeah, I think this is a great pick. Well, I went with my straight pick. I also went the total way instead of the side way. And I went with the first game. I'm going over 54.5 in that Bengals Chiefs game. The over is just uh, the Chiefs and the over. It's like peas and carrots right now. 7-0 in the last 7 games for the Chiefs. 5-0 in the last 5 following an against the spread win. 5-0 for the Chiefs in their last 5 after scoring more than 30. 6-0 in their last 6 after a straight up win. I mean, it's just like everything points the over. You got two good offenses again this week. I mean, the Bengals are a good offense. I thought they were good enough. I mean, look at last week. Burrow spends more time on his back than he did in the pocket, and that team found a way to win. I think that's a great indicator of how that team has come together so quickly. I mean, the Chiefs are what they are, right? I mean, we talked about it way early in the season. We're like, man, this Chiefs team, they're kind of crappy. They're not doing very well. And then, they get in the back half of the season, and now they're just putting up points like it's going out of style.
Yeah.
I see this game going way over again. The thing is, I think this is a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if this is more of a spread and victory than last week for them. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes 10 or 11, maybe a 38-27 game, a little bit more breathing room for the Chiefs. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But from the flip side, I also wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati keeps it a 1-possession game. The bottom line is my pick is not on either one of those. My pick is on the total. And so that's why I'm very happy to bet my money on the over.
Well, and there, when you look at KC versus Cincy, the under is actually 4-1 in the last 5 meetings in KC. The under is 7-3 in the last 10 meetings between them. So those are the stats that don't point to it.
Yeah.
But I think you're right in the fact that there's that 4-1. There's that 7-3. I think this is going to be another game that's going to go, especially what happened after what happened last week. Yes, Cincinnati kept it low with Tennessee. Should have went to overtime and been an over game. Should have. And I think, when you look at KC, first of all, is Honey Badger playing? He's in concussion protocol, but he's supposed to play. And I think he is playing. I think they called him playing, but how well is he going to play? I remember if you used to get a concussion, you were out for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden, like, you get a concussion in a game and you're back the next game. Like, I don't know what happened there, but how good is he actually going to be? And then what I don't know. And I said this in last week's podcast when you took Dawson Knox. I said, Josh Allen has a habit of not going to the same receiver every 2 games in a row, 3 games in a row, or whatever. And Diggs has had 2 of his greatest seasons in Buffalo of his career. However, last week he got shut down. Now, when you look, when I was watching that in real time, and my friend Randy was sitting here, and he goes, there's 3 receivers open. Diggs was open, Davis was open, and Sanders were all open. Like and I'm talking open for miles. So Allen picked Davis and went there. I don't know the reasoning. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't know. But maybe it's just where he was running. That's what it was. I don't know. But the big talk is KC's defense limited number 1 receiver Diggs. I don't know that there was so much of a limiting. So that's what a lot of people are pointing to for this game is that, they're going to limit Ja'Marr Chase. I don't think they are. I just think I don't, and not that Allen and Diggs don't have that relationship. I just think that Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase relationship is too thick, too deep, and that's who he's going to. And even if they don't, just like Allen went to Davis, he's got Boyd sitting there, and Boyd's going to go off. So I think either way, they're just going to have a ton of scoring. And I actually really think between the tackles, Mixon's going to have a huge game. That's why I put him on my prop later. So I do like your 54.5 over. I love it.
Yeah, it's and that goes to show you with Buffalo how many weapons they are, and this how the postseason turns into maximizing your weapons. And I think Cincinnati's weapons are their skill players are kind of underrated here. I don't think many people are giving them much of a chance. against Kansas City's like if you're stacking up offense versus offense, I don't see a lot of people putting Cincinnati in like the same category. I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, Kansas City's offense is unreal, but
Correct.
Cincinnati's not bad.
No, Burrow's
not bad
a
at
stud.
all. And 5 weeks ago, they beat Kansas City
Yep.
in a shootout. So, I don't know. I like the over here, so we'll see how that goes.
I agree. All right, let's get into our round robin. We both this week went round robin. We went cross sport, which I love, and hopefully we do more other sports this year. Last year we talked about it. We did futures and everything like that, but hopefully this year, and it won't probably be as often as this, but we'll throw on some different ones on different sports. But my round robin, I took the Rams to win it on the money line. I took the Chiefs to win it on the money line, and then I go over the NBA and I take the forever hot Suns, and then I take the Colorado Avalanche. So the Rams, and we've talked about this, we're going to continue to talk about this. San Francisco has won 6 straight games against the Rams. 6 straight against the Rams. So everything points to San Francisco winning. Everything's pointing to, Matt Stafford was 0-3 in Detroit, and where's the real Matt Stafford? And he's going to cut. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Sean McVay is too good of a coach to let that happen. Like we've already talked about, I don't think Jimmy G is good enough to win this game for him, and he's going to have to be. He is going to have to be. For them to win, he's going to be good enough. Their defense is definitely going to carry him, and it's not going to be easy for Stafford. But I don't think LA's defense is bad enough to let San Francisco win it. Okay, I just don't. Especially when you have Von Miller, who's getting a sack a game in the last 6, at least a sack a game in the last 6 games.
He's looked great, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's looked great.
Yeah. So I don't think that can happen. Now, when you look at their individual, Rams are 6-2 against the spread in the last 8. When I used to coach softball, I used to coach baseball in high school. We used to have play teams twice. And usually in the same week. Usually it was like you play at home on Tuesday and you play there on Thursday in the same team. It's kind of changed a little bit, but usually you're playing them twice. We used to say the hardest thing is to beat the team 3 times in a year. San Francisco's already beat the Rams twice this year. That is the hardest thing, to beat them 3 times. And a lot of that is mental of, we've already beat you twice. And I understand it's the NFL. I understand it's the playoffs. You're trying to go to the Super Bowl. I get it's different circumstances. But there is, I don't care who you are, you're a human. There is that part of you that we've already beat you twice. And that's the part that really sticks in my head. Like, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. I don't care what sport, what level, whatever. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. It's just hard.
Yeah, so, I agree.
That's why I'm taking the Rams. KC, look, it was really hard for me to put KC on this. I'm not going to lie. One of the things that keeps sticking in my head is that Burrow is 6-0 in his playoff career. That goes back to when he was at LSU. He's 6-0 in his playoff career, 2-0 in the NFL. First number 1 pick to get to the conference championship in his first 2 years. Like, there's just so many stats pointing in his direction. What I look at is what KC did last week against Buffalo. And granted, the coin toss went their way and they won. But it's just, I don't think if it gets to that, I mean, that game was 14-14 at halftime. And it ended up being 90-80. Like, it was just a shootout. And I don't think Cincinnati can hang with them. Probably for the fact and how much Burrow is going to get hit. When you have Aaron Donald and Von Miller coming at you from opposite sides, I don't think you're going to be able to keep up. I really don't. I think it's going to be close. I think you're going to keep up to a time, but I don't think you're going to keep up enough to win. So that's why, after going through it, that's why I took KC. The Suns are the hottest team in the NBA. The Spurs are not.
Nope.
Yeah. So I don't think they could sit Paul and Booker and Aiden, and I don't even know if Aiden's playing.
I don't think Aiden's playing.
I don't think he's back, but you could sit the 3 of them, and I think they still win this game outright, which I am happy. And then when I talk about the Avalanche, I went to the Sabres Coyotes game last night, and it was a horrible game. Horrible. Both teams were tripping over the blue line. I'm like, come on, give me a break. But now you're taking Yes, Buffalo won, and I'm happy about that. But now you're taking a road trip. You played last night in Arizona. You had to go to Colorado. Now you got to play a great Colorado Avalanche team who is not going to trip over the blue line, and they're just going to dominate you. And you're not even playing Anderson, who's probably your best goalie that can play right now. Like you're I'm sorry, I love the Sabres, but at least I'm trying to make money on them. They're smoke. So $5 a bet, 11 bets makes it 55. I'm putting up, and I'm going to win 184.
Let's go. I love it. I love it. All right. So now, they love it too, man. They're like, yeah, let's get some action on that. Holy smokes. I love it. They got to eat too. We got to put money in our pockets so we put food in their bowls, right? I'm going to go to my round robin parlay. I also went cross sport. I've got Kansas City also on the money line. I took San Francisco plus 3.5, and I think that this is a little bit of one of those things where I do think the Rams win. I think this is a very close game. I think this is a 3-point game. I'm going to take the 3.5. That way, if the Rams win, say 17-14, like I think it's going to be, I can still be a winner. I'm taking the Carolina Hurricanes, who are one of the top teams in the NHL. They're playing the Sharks this afternoon. I like the Hurricanes a lot. It's crazy to think that three of the top teams in the NHL right now are Sunbelt teams in Carolina, Florida, and Tampa Bay. That's just unreal right now. But Carolina is playing great. Florida's playing great. If Florida was playing tonight, I would have taken them, but I'm going to take Carolina. And I was going to take the Nuggets, but then I realized how many injuries the Nuggets have right now. So I switched that and took the Bucks minus 6.5 tonight at home against Denver. So that $55 round robin is going to win me 184 if everything hits.
Nice. That's great. That's awesome. I love it.
And KC, my dog would be barking too, because she would be excited, except she is sleeping. So, but otherwise she would be barking as well.
Yeah, KC, we talked about that already. San Francisco, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a close game. I think that defense is going to keep them in there. But I just don't think they have enough to win. And I could see it being 6 points like it was Buffalo KC, or I could see it being a field goal. So I definitely put them in my teaser 3.5. I think you're braver than I am. I don't know if I could take that, but I think you're getting a big value there.
Yes.
As far as your odds. So that's a good play there. The Hurricanes are hot, like we said, and the Bucks. I agree with you. If the Nuggets weren't, playing their ninth string people, then they probably have a shot, but they're not going to have a shot.
And it's so hard. It's so hard in basketball, because basketball, although it's a team game, it is a superstar driven league, right? And you've got to have 2, maybe 3 like outstanding players to win. And if 2 of them or 1 of them or 2 of them are out, I mean, you're done. And Murray's still out for Denver. Barton's going to be out. It's like, I don't know, man. I got to switch that.
I don't blame you there. All right, let's get into our teasers.
Let's do
Remember,
it.
a teaser is when we add points to it to make it in our favor, but our odds go down. So I took Cincy plus 13, and we're doing a typical 6-point teaser, by the way. Took Cincy plus 13. I took the over, tease it down to 48.5 in that game. Then I took the Niners plus 9.5, and then I took the under in that game. So I teased it up 6 points to 51.5, and then I went under. So my 40 is going to win me 104. And once again, like I said, I think San Francisco game, it could be a touchdown, could be a field goal. I'm not sure. So when I tease it up to 9.5, that's taking everything but a touchdown and a field goal into effect. So I don't think it'll be a blowout there. I think Cincinnati KC, I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as Buffalo KC was, but I think it's going to be, 30-20 something. I think it's going to be around 50 something. So I actually think Vegas did a good job at making it 54.5 as their line. I think that was a good call right there. So that's why I teased it down and picked it up. I think it's going to be something like that, 54.5 total. So that's why I went there. So my 40 is going to win me 104.
Yeah, I think this is a solid teaser. In fact, I think this teaser is so solid I bet the exact same
You
one.
did the same.
And and it's hard. We talked about this earlier. It's hard right now because there are only 2 games today. So sometimes, and most of the time, we might share something, but most of the time, like in a regular season, we'll have 4 different picks or 3 different picks.
Mhm.
But it is tough right now, and that's okay because it is what it is. But I thought that was solid, man. We were right on the same lines. I think. I wouldn't be surprised if, once again, Kansas City wins by a little bit more than they did last week, but by teasing that up to 13, that gives me almost a 2-touchdown cushion. So if it does go 38-27, which I think it does, I'm a winner because Cincinnati covers a 13. The total goes over. San Francisco's defense, I think, is too good to let that game be more than a 10-point game. And also, if this game is going to go under like we think it's going to, because the defense is taking those points is in my opinion a better play, because it's probably going to be either 1, fewer possessions, or 2, lots of punts. And if either one of those happens, that's good to have that 9.5-point cushion. And so I think that's a great play.
Yeah, I agree. And then on top of this, I just want to say that when you do a teaser, you can do a teaser with a basketball game too. So I could have put the Suns in mine. You could have put the Bucks or the Nuggets, depending on which way you wanted to go there.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely would have went Suns because I don't think the Spurs could 18.5, or 16.5. The basketball is only a 4.5-point teaser, but we could have put those in there as well if we wanted to, but we decided to say both NFL.
For sure. And it's one of those things where, yeah, exactly. You got to look at the points. And even in basketball, even if 4 points is a huge, I mean, that's 2 possessions. So, that's a huge swing there. Yeah, I think our teasers are money this week. So money that I bet the same thing as you. So that's that. Should we go look at our prop bets?
Yeah, let's check out our prop bets. So I went,
okay.
I went game by game.
Okay.
And first game, I took Mahomes going over 2.5 touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took Mixon over 3.5 rushing yards. I took that I put that in a parlay between the both of them, and my $20 is going to win me 66. Like I said, Mixon's going to run up the gut on them all day long, and I think he gets it. Mahomes proved last week he's just going to keep slinging it, and if he's going to keep slinging it, I'm going to win from it. So that's going to be my 2-team prop bet for the first game.
Cool, I love it.
And then for the night game, I had a 3 prop bet parlay. I'm going Jimmy G's going to throw an interception. He's going to. I mean, it's pretty much inevitable. Cam Akers, I don't ever want to say steroids, but I'm going to go ahead and say possibly steroids. You come back from that ankle injury and you're running over people the way you are. That's impressive. And I'm not trying to accuse him of steroids, but man, oh man, it's amazing to watch somebody come back off that injury and just roll people. I mean,
yeah,
physically dominate people the way it's impressive. So I'm going to roll it, man. I don't care what he did. He's doing it. And I'm going to take him going over 62.5 rushing yards. As good as San Francisco's D is, he's still going to get his. And then Von Miller, we already talked about how good he's been. I'm taking him over 3.5 tackles and assists put together. I think he's going to get 1.5 sacks. And then that leads him to get 2 more tackles or assist on tackles. And I'm golden right there. So my $10 is going to win me $47.
When we were talking about Garoppolo and, how he's like he's not as bad as we think, as everybody says he is, but he's probably not as good as everybody wants to make him out to be. He's probably somewhere in the middle. And he's probably going to throw an interception, but I think that interception today is going to be more so because of the Ram defense, to be honest with you. Because that Ram defense, I don't know about you, man, but when they went quote all in and they start making the trades and everything, and then they lost 3 in a row and they look like garbage. But even last week they were impressive last week. they were impressive against Arizona. They were impressive last week. And then, I mean, I kind of blame the offense for putting the defense in a bad spot last week in the fourth period. Yeah, and Cam Akers, you're right, man. He's running the ball like a mother right now. And it's very impressive. So, yeah, why not win some money off of that?
Well, and back to the thing on interception, too. I'm not even talking about Jimmy G making the mistake. I mean, it's very easy for Brandon Ayuk, who's finally coming around and having a good year. I picked him up on my fantasy team. I thought he was going to have a great year. He didn't. But it's very easy for a ball to go through his hands and into somebody else's hands. It's very easy for a screen for Elijah to freaking bobble a screen pass and it goes in. I'm not saying that he's going to throw an interception because of him. I'm saying that it's probably going to happen.
There's so many ways that interception. It could be a Hail Mary at the end of the half. It could be like what Arians likes to do if he gets into like 3rd and 28 or something. He's like, hey, just throw it deep. If it gets intercepted, it's a punt, and if it gets pass interference, then great. Could be one of those things. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that interception can happen that are or aren't necessarily the quarterback's fault.
Agreed. What's your prop bets this week?
All right, so I did the same things or a similar thing in the morning. I've got Joe Burrow going over 250 passing yards and 2 or more touchdowns. That $20 is going to win me $22. I'm counting on a shootout today. And to be honest with you, 250 pass yards and 2 touchdowns doesn't scream a 30-point outburst for Cincinnati. But I'm just looking at how well they're playing right now and what they'll have to do to win the game. And in order for them to win the game, I think that Burrow has to have a big day. So that's what I went with there. It's kind of a parlay. It's more like a double. It's more like a double prop. So so that's my morning prop.
And I think Mixon's going to be a big part of it, but I don't think he's going to be enough where Burrow doesn't have to throw over 2 touchdown passes. So
100%. And keep an eye on the tight end. He's if Chase gets cut, if they try and take Chase out of the game, they'll just go to the tight end. They did it last week against Tennessee. I think the prop was over 3.5 receptions. I think he had 7 or 9. So he went way over last week. So I wouldn't be surprised if they incorporate the tight end a little bit more this week too. My afternoon, I've got Deebo Samuel over 40.5 yards rushing, and I have Robbie Gould over 6.5 total points. That parlay for $20 will win me 50. I'm counting on just kicking field goals today, pretty much.
Took it last week. If you took it last week in Cincinnati, you nailed it.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said earlier, Deebo's not the primary rusher, but he is the primary yards beyond the line of scrimmage getter, if that's something that we can say. The dude's so versatile. So, he's going to get his. It's just a matter of, do they flare it out on the screen pass? Do they use him in on a route, or do they just literally just hand the ball off to him, which they do frequently? I think it's going to be the last part. So I got him over 40.5 yards rushing. But one thing that I noticed about this Kaus is the first week they played, the prop was, I believe it was 25 or 27 yards. So you can see how the odds makers adjust the props even on these games based on what's happening in the games. It's because now it's gone up 50%. Now it's 40 yards.
Yeah. And I agree with you. San Francisco's going to kick a lot of field goals. I really do. I still think it goes over. Usually when you're talking about a lot of field goals, it usually doesn't go over, but I really do think it's going to still. My worry about this one, I really think McVay and his coaching staff are going to go, look, San Francisco's weapon is Deebo.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, it's Deebo. Shut him down, make him beat us with something else. Let Jimmy G beat us.
True.
So I don't know if I like betting anything on Deebo, even though I still think he's going to get his. I think they're really going to focus on shutting him down because they're going to say, let Jimmy G beat us. If he beats us, fine. He beat us. But we know Deebo's the team. We know he's a stud. Shut him down. Shut him down. So that's where I worry about that. But it's a good play because stats are in your favor by far.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, who does his game remind you of? I mean, does it remind you of like I remember Thurman Thomas used to get all of his yards and stuff, but he wasn't really the route runner that Debo is.
No,
Um,
no,
but
no.
but
And that's a different situation too. When you're talking about that's more of Thurman going out on passes where Debo's a receiver that they bring
yeah,
in to run.
true.
And I can't really think of very many receivers that
I
they
mean,
bring in to run that often.
the only one I can think of right off the top of my head from like recent memory is Cordell Patterson. I mean, he was the primary running back for
Okay.
Atlanta at the last half of the
Yeah.
season, and he's usually a receiver. But I mean,
Yeah.
what an asset to have.
Correct.
Someone
I
like
agree.
that you can just plug in. Like, oh, Mitchell's out. Oh, here you go. It's your ball, Debo. You're going to be run.
Yep.
I think that's incredible for San Francisco to have.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go to our pleaser.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I struggled with my pleaser this week. I didn't know which way to go because I did go over and unders. I'm not confident enough in the outcomes, but I took Cincy KC over 60.5.
Mhm.
If it goes 38-27, I'm a winner, like you said. So it was tough for me to
Mhm.
do that. I don't know if they're going to score that many, but I figured if it could happen, it will be there. And then San Francisco, LA, same thing. I went under in that one. I stuck to my guns on that. And I took a 39.5, and I'm going 19-16. I win.
Yep.
You know,
100%.
but 2019, I still win. 35-21. I lose. Like, so it was really tough for me to get it, but for $20 to win 120, I'm gonna take my chances.
And that's a great play. I think if you're convinced that the under is going to hit on this, why not, double down and give up the 6 points and keep going, right? There's no, especially after last week. I mean, 13-10.
Yeah.
If that defense plays anywhere close to how they played last week, that under 39.5 has a great chance of happening.
Correct. I agree. What do you got?
So I agree with you on Kansas City and Cincinnati. I went over on that one. And then, so with my pleaser, I went more like, let's see if this happens. I wouldn't be surprised if San Francisco wins today. So I took them -2.5 on the pleaser. And it's really because of the odds here. My $20 is going to pay me 6-1 back. Would you be surprised?
On Stafford to turn into Stafford?
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm betting on Garoppolo to be like Trent Dilfer, right? Just be a game manager. But I mean, let's call it. Would you be surprised if San Francisco wins today? I would not be surprised.
I got to be honest. I wouldn't be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
I would be a little surprised.
Okay.
I would be a little surprised.
I think that's fair.
I don't think. Like I said, it wouldn't be totally, oh my God, I never saw that coming. But I just don't think as a full team, San Francisco stacks up enough against the Rams. I don't. I think Stafford's playing his best ball because of the team. He was 0-3 in Detroit. He had that monkey did off his back. He did in the first round. Last week, okay, you played a terrible Cardinals team in the playoffs. They were trending down. It was an easy win for you. Last week, you had to struggle to beat the greatest quarterback of all time, and you did it. Now you're running full stride with confidence with a great team. Like, I don't see a Stafford fall. I just don't.
Yeah, I thought that last drive by Stafford was completely un-Stafford-like, but it showed me something, right? And you can't go like we can keep going. Oh yeah, he was 0-3 in Detroit. Oh yeah, you could probably put Tom Brady and he would have been 0-3 in Detroit too. So I don't think that's all on Stafford. I was not a believer in this trade at the beginning. I thought the Lions fleeced them. It still might happen, but when the Rams' goal is to win now, they're reaching their goals right now, and I think that's a win for them. So even though I don't think they have any first-round draft picks for the next 2 or 3 years. But if you get a title, then everybody forgets about it, right? So
you cannot have a title for 3 years.
That's true. But that being said, if Stafford goes Stafford on us, I'm not going to be surprised if San Francisco wins. And if they don't, they don't. It's $20. If I win something else, it cancels it out. So I'm okay with that.
Agreed. All right. So usually at this time we do a Final Four. And obviously we're at the Final Four. So, and I didn't tell you about this before the show, but I did go back and look at all of our Final Fours because, we have we have a basic script. It's not everything, but we have a basic script we go off of here. And I went through our Final Fours. So back in October, I took Cincy once. I took Cincy once in October. You didn't have any of the Final Four in October. In November, you had KC once. And I had the Rams and KC each once.
Okay.
In December, I had the Chiefs and the Rams twice. You had the Chiefs 3 times in KC. So you're pretty high on the Chiefs. Then in January, I had Cincinnati all 4 times.
What?
All 4 times. Now, I had the Rams once, but I had Cincinnati all 4 times. All 4.
Wow.
And then you had the Chiefs once. But you were totally sold. Like when I was looking back, it was like Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Tampa Bay. Like there was a ton of it. And I was right there with you. There was a lot. I switched it up. I had Arizona here and there. I think I might have put Dallas in there once or twice, but I was kind of on the same track as you in the NFC. In the AFC, there was a lot of Buffalo in there, which we could argue that, if I go the other way, we both have a lot of, we both had a lot of KC. We could have both had a lot of Buffalo. We had a lot of New England. I think Baltimore was on there once or twice, but it was Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and then just the AFC was so hard this year. It was, and I think that when you look at Herbert, Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, I don't even think Jackson's that great, but I'll say Jackson, Carr. When you're looking at these teams, you're going, man, I truly think right now the AFC. Now, I'm not saying the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl, but I'm saying overall, on a whole, the AFC is way better than the NFC. I just think it is, and even if Brady does officially retire, that definitely takes it to a whole new level. And who knows where Rodgers will be. But I think it goes to show how good the AFC is.
I agree with you. I think the AFC is better. And I think you see that by it. There's not one, I don't think there's one team in the AFC that, now we're starting to see Kansas City separate themselves a little bit, but it took 21 weeks for it to get that way. I look at it, I said, well, Buffalo's in they were in the final 5. That should count for something, but you're right. There's so many good teams. Tennessee was in my Final Four a lot because of the way that they pounded the ball. And once they lost Derrick Henry, it seemed like that they took a step backwards.
And to be fair on that point, I wouldn't have had Cincinnati all 4 times. I would have taken Tennessee one of them, but I did caveat it. I said I took Cincinnati because I'm not sure if Derrick Henry will be back and how well he will do, or else I would have taken Tennessee. So that's the only reason I did take Cincinnati all 4, or else it would have been 3 times. But yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and you look at the NFC, I was 100% sold on those 2 clubs. I thought that this week we'd be watching them again, and I'm surprised that we're not. I thought that they were the best. They were the top 2 teams. They just were. But I think what you also, and we talked about this in the wild card week, Tampa Bay had too many injuries, and I think we both said that they'd probably have enough to get by Philadelphia, but the Rams are going to be tough because they don't have enough players. And I think that's what happened. Green Bay just shocked the crap out of me I thought they just
you and everybody.
I don't know
else
what happened, man. I don't know what happened. Like, you're supposed to be better than that. So, but I think you're right. I think the AFC is better. It'll be interesting to see what happens today. I'm excited to watch what happens today and see who we're going to be watching in 2 weeks. Would any of the matchups that are possible, would any of them surprise me? probably not.
San Francisco, Cincinnati would be the most shocking. I'll say that.
I would agree with you, and I think that's the one that I would not like if I had to rank them in what I wanted to watch. I think that would be down at the bottom.
Correct.
Which one would you be most excited to see? I would be most excited to see Kansas City play San Francisco.
Honestly, I'm gonna say Cincinnati Rams.
Right. That'd be cool.
Because Burrow's in his second year. Be amazing to see a second year quarterback get there. Plus, by the way, I still have my future bet of him being the comeback player of the year. So, but it would be impressive to see that. It would be great to see Stafford in his first, because we've called him Pad the Stafford a lot, but it'd be impressive to see him in there.
Well, dude, he was the number one pick. We're waiting. We're waiting. And like, how long do we have to wait for you, man? We've been waiting 12 or 13 years. So I agree.
And that's why that would be the most exciting for me. You know, they talked about, I watched the 30 for 30 on the Four Falls of Buffalo. They talked about how in their fourth year in the Super Bowl, nobody wanted them there, and it was enough and everything like that. I almost feel like we're getting there with KC, because now they're on the same. They've had 4 home AFC Championship games in a row, and that's impressive. And I'm not taking anything away, and I'm not sitting here saying I don't want to see Kansas City in there, because if they do, great. Mahomes is a great quarterback. Reed, I think, in my mind, is probably one of the best, if not the best, coaches ever, because he's done it with multiple quarterbacks. I think Belichick was too much of a product of Brady almost, instead of the other way around. So I do, and not that I'm taking anything away from Belichick. He's one of the best too. But if Kansas City makes it great, I just think it'd be great to see those, you know, Burrow in his second year, having a great year. And how big of a story is that? He comes off of freaking – he's been sacked 62 times since the beginning of the year. That includes playoffs, but 62 times. And then he goes to the Super Bowl? Like, that's insane. In his second year in the NFL, like – it's just too big of a story. And then you have Matt Stafford, like you said, your number one pick. You're finally there. You got this trade. You got where you wanted. LA wants to win. They're all in. And you know what? As much as I'm not a big fan, I love going to California, but as much as I'm not a big fan of the California itself and people in California, it'd be great for LA, because when you look at LA, you got, we got the Chargers and we got the Rams. Who are you? Half their stadium is full, half isn't. You know, it's like all of a sudden now you have an identity, and it's going to suck for the Chargers, even though they got Herbert. But the fans at least those fans in LA have somebody to resonate with and go. And plus, you're going to have, I would love to see 2 years in a row where the home team has a Super Bowl.
That would be cool. This is way more a Rams area than a Charger area for sure.
Correct.
Surprisingly, I think, I'm not trying to be like humble brag, I think it's a Raiders city more than anything else, but you know, it is what it is. Look, that would all be cool. I would love to see the offense and the offensive defensive battle. That's why I'd like to see Kansas City, San Francisco. But you know, I'm going to be happy. I'll be happy either way. I'm sure we'll find a way to make some money off of it, right?
I agree. Well, next week, make sure you guys join us when we do our futures. You know, next week is always our futures.
Yeah, buddy.
So make sure you join us for that. But that is the end of our championship weekend.
All right.
We hope you all have a great week. We hope you take down Vegas. BS, I hope you win everything. I love you, brother.
Love you. Hope you win too.
Make sure all you guys at home like us, share us, get the word out. We want to keep doing this, so get more people watching. Hit us up if you have any questions. Text us, email us, hit us up on the social medias. We're on all of them. Whatever you need. We're always here. We love to talk. We love to talk football. We love to talk betting. We love to talk drinking. So hit us up. As a reminder, we do not guarantee anything. We predict.
That's
love
right.
you guys.
All right. Bye-bye.